Okay, our next unit in economics is called Budget and Finance. Today's lesson is your personal finances. Our goals for this lesson are to recognize the 7 main guidelines for establishing a personal budget and identify the steps to follow for avoiding the debt trap. Look at your vocabulary words. A small journal, which is continually updated accounts of the money available in one's savings account, is the bank savings book. An itemized account of the possible income and expenditures over a given period of time is a budget. Money owed to a person or a business is a debt. Something on which money is spent is an expense. Total money earned before deductions are made is gross income. Money received as earnings from work or the selling of goods is income. Planned income and expenditures for a calendar month is monthly budget. A bank service in which the depositor puts his money in the bank for the purpose of drawing interest is a savings account. 10% return back to the Lord from income you received, derived from the Old Testament passages such as Deuteronomy 12:11, is a tithe. Look at Davy and Gravy. Hey, Gravy, do you pay your debts? Gravy: I don't know. What are debts? Davy: debt is money that you owe to a person or a business. Gravy: who would I owe money to? Davy: you borrowed money from me so you could buy some root stalks, remember? Gravy: oh yeah. Can I pay you in carrots? Money can be a real struggle in our walk with God. Many Christians make the false assumption that finance is a part of life that doesn't need to be under God's control. The Bible, however, deals with the challenge of honoring God in every financial decision we make. The book of Ecclesiastes gives a very pointed lesson when it tells us that a man strives for a meaningless life. If all he cares about is accumulating wealth, he will never be satisfied. While it is not wrong to want to be able to have a little money stored away in the bank, if the desire to build riches overcomes a sincere walk with the Lord, the Christian is headed away from God. While financial freedom is not evil in itself, it cannot be a substitute for God's security and happiness. God promises to provide for us if we put Him first. This promise is found in Proverbs 3:9 and 10. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. Honoring God first above our bank account and any desire for riches will bring blessings from Him. As we study personal finances, we will remember this honor God principle. Okay. Even Christians have financial problems. In your notes, go ahead and put today's dates. You have been working hard at your job and trying to save the money you earn. Sure, you spend a little here and there during the course of the week, but you have been keeping a tight rein on your spending so you can save up enough for the Christmas presents you want to get for the family. You take a peek into your bank savings book and what? You find that you do not have near as much money as you thought you had saved. But how did you spend it so fast? This happens as a reality to many people everywhere. The best way to keep yourself from last-minute surprises is to make a budget. Don't be scared. Making a simple budget is easy and can save you quite a bit of money in the long run. Before you arrange a budget, commit yourself to start saving some of your income. Proverbs 21:20 tells us, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. The writer is telling us that the wise man saves reserves, but a foolish man who spends everything. Commit to saving a portion of your income. So let's talk about a budget. A budget is a personal tool that can give you two great advantages. First, it will let you know where you may have problems when it comes to spending. Many people are surprised when they see how much money slips through their fingers when they spend a little here and there on sodas, knickknacks, and late-night snacks. Even though the purchases are each small, they quickly add up. So the budget. First, it tells us what we're spending. It tells us what we're spending our money on. Secondly, you can figure out where you can save a bit here and there, sort of like streamlining your money's direction. You could find that putting an extra $5 a week into your savings account will help you double your savings over the course of the summer. Depending on how much you have now, many times when a teen simply writes down what he has been doing with his money, he learns a great lesson right away. So number 2, it shows where we can save money. Like each person, each budget is unique. As you step out into your career, you will discover the need to be aware of expenses that did not concern you when you were living with mom and dad. However, that should not discourage you from making a plan of action for controlling your spending. We can work together on a budget that is simple and unimposing. Let's say you work for Beta Industries and are renting an apartment while you take night courses in college. You are responsible for your car's upkeep, your food in your cupboard, and little things called insurance and school bills. How do you keep from going broke? Here are a few steps to remember when setting up your own personal budget. Okay, so here we go. Steps to set up a budget. Okay, we said a budget tells us two things. It tells what we're spending our money on. That should be on, not on. And it shows where we can save money. Now we're going to talk about steps to set up a budget. A monthly budget is usually the best framework to use. Keep an eye on future needs. Most people prefer to use a budget that breaks down into months. Figure out what you spend and expect to receive every month. But wait, you might get paid on an irregular basis for odd jobs during your regular employment. Some bills need to be paid every 3 months instead of every month. What do? Figure what the expenses would cost over the course of a year and then divide by 12. We are trying to estimate what is coming down the road, not calculate penny by penny just yet. If you have been working and going to school for a while, you could use past figures of income and expenses to estimate your monthly budget for the year to come. Let's say it is your 4th month with Beta and your 3rd month at school. You can go by past income and expenses from the months you have been working and studying. Okay. So we need to come up with a monthly budget. I guess I don't want the word keep. I want record. Do I want record? Okay, figure out. I like that. Figure out what you can spend and expect to receive. every month. Okay, so the first step to setting up a budget is figure out what you can spend and expect to receive every month. So that's the first thing we need to put in our budget. And that's just going to be a rounded figure, just an estimate. That doesn't have to be exact. Take your time, be thorough, and list all your income and expenses. Be careful not to overlook a small expense. If you spend $5 a week on shampoo, you may have great hair. Remember to write it down. If you join the church group for a weekly meal, note it. Okay. So step number 2 in setting up a budget. Okay, number 1, we just put how much we expected to spend and receive every month. But number 2, we're going to have to be thorough and list all income and expenses. You need everything, no matter how small of an expense it is, because it'll add up. Number 3, get out your calculator. Follow these guidelines to get an idea of how costs break down by percentages. Here's an idea of percentages per general expense. This would be a great guideline to follow and will help you realize that this is where your money goes, or should go, each paycheck. The average percentage of gross income is usually spent this way. Okay. Figure out what percentage each expense is. And to do that, you're going to have to take the expense divided by your total income. Okay? So we said, number 1, figure out what you can spend and expect to receive every month. Number 2, list all income and expenses. Number 3, figure out what percentage each expense is, and you do that by dividing the expense divided by the total income. Total income means you add all your income, that's your total income. You have to take each expense divided by the total income. And they give you a chart there. You'll notice on that chart it says number 10 is tithes to the Lord. Tithes to the Lord should be first. You should do your tithes first. But I'm glad they do have tithes on there. Number 4, make it a habit to put money into a savings account. This is known as paying yourself. Note in number 3 that one of the monthly expenses is putting money in savings. Aim for saving at least 5% what you make in gross income. It is important that you save a little from each paycheck. This percentage can vary. Perhaps you are able to put away 10% each month. Great. You take a giant step towards financial freedom when you learn to save. If that means cutting out the extra bag of potato chips and a night out at the fast food restaurant, consider it an investment. Okay, so number 4 is save. You need to save money. Save a few dollars. Each time you get paid. Okay? Not all the expenses, food for example, are easy to calculate. The college cafeteria may give you a great deal on a daily lunch which cuts your expenses for food by a third. You never know what deals you could run into. Write down what you think you need, and as the month continues, you can adjust it. Okay. So you need to adjust your budget as needed. Number 6. As a Christian, you should be ready and willing to give to the Lord. Usually this is 10%, which is called a tithe. Calculated into your budget is the fact that you, as a believer in Jesus Christ, should honor the Lord with a gift from your income. People have different ideas about how much, but the general idea is 10%. An idea found in the scriptures in passages like Malachi 3:10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. God promises blessings for the Christian who gives to him. Other passages such as Hebrews 7:5, Deuteronomy 12:11, and Nehemiah 10:37 also give us the tithing principle. It is interesting to note that out of the gratitude for the resources that God has given them, many Christians give according to the New Testament verse found in 1 Corinthians 16:2. Upon the first day of the week let every one of you lay by him in store as God hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. They might actually exceed the 10% of the Old Testament, which they set aside part of their income at the beginning of the week. Remember, giving what comes from a grateful heart will be rewarded by God. So number 6, make sure you pay your tithes. And remember, the Bible says the Lord loves a cheerful giver, so you need to pay them cheerfully. Okay? When you have listed all your income and expenses, subtract the expenses from the income and see what comes out on the bottom line. Okay. Income minus expenses. Your result should be positive. This is cushion for emergencies and unknown expenses that may pop up. If you end up with a negative number on your bottom line, you can see that you need to start reducing your expenses. You do not have to suffer in order to start saving. Our next lesson will help you learn how to use your money more wisely. Equals, this needs to be a positive number. If it's negative, you're going to have to cut some expenses. Cut down on spending. Proverbs 3:5-10 could be titled God's Plan for Financial Prosperity. The key for a Christian to have a stable and enduring financial life is to follow the principles found in this passage. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. We are wisest when we give the Lord the control of our budget. The Lord has much to say about money. There are over 2,300 verses in the Scriptures that directly refer to money. Though the Bible is not mainly a financial book, it's interesting to note that right after the subject of God Himself, the second most referred to subject in the Bible is money. The Lord does not merely receive a portion of our income. He gets first priority over it. Whether it's in giving to missions or relying upon the Lord and using wise judgment before we make a big purchase, it's good to remember the right of ownership principle. God owns it all. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Psalms 24:1. Since all of our income is the Lord's rightful property, we ought to allow Him to direct us so that we may be able to use our money wisely. Okay, so the second step in preparing a budget is list all the income and expenses. Number 3, figure out what percentage each expense is. That's the expense divided by the total income. That'll give you a decimal. Make sure you move your decimal over 2 places to the left, to the right, and put a percent sign after it. Save a few dollars out of every check. Put money in savings. Number 5, adjust the budget as needed. Number 6, pay your tithes cheerfully. It only counts if it's cheerfully. Number 7, income minus expenses should equal a positive number. If it's a negative number, cut down on spending. Okay. Are you going to be able to stay financially stable? Here are some questions any young person should ask himself if he makes a budget, saves money, and spends money. Are my checking and savings accounts smaller than they were 6 months ago? Every 6 months this question should be asked. Number 2, am I tempted to use a credit card for a charge when I do not know whether I can pay the bill or not? Number 3, am I falling behind on my bills to my creditors? Number 4, are my creditors charging me with late fees? Here's a way to keep yourself financially strong. Follow these steps and you can keep yourself from falling into the debt trap that plagues so many people. Okay. Keep yourself from the debt trap. Keep from the debt trap. Number 1, locate the missing money. Are you frustrated from trying to figure out where your money goes? Make a list of all the money spent each day for 1 month and see where your missing money is actually being spent. You might find that you are spending enough for small items to make a serious dent in your wallet. Okay, so you need to find out where that money is going. Do not let your spending habits get out of hand. So number 2 would be control your spending. Don't let it control you. Okay, a lot of people have problems with that. But it can become a problem. It can totally devastate you. Take control of your spending. Number 3, plan your spending ahead of time. Before you go to the store, list what you need to buy and then stick to the list. Many people lose lots of money by making impulse purchases at the store. Okay, so number 3. Plan your spending. Okay, make a list. Stick to the list. Number 4, don't let finance charges eat up your budget. Pay bills on time or ahead of time. Okay. Pay bills on time. It reduces the finance charges. Okay, number 5. Keep track of your spending. Retain all copies of sales slips and promptly compare charges when your bills arrive. Not only will you have a good idea of your spending habits, you can double check against anyone who might be trying to use your card or your number. So keep track of your spending. Because then you know right away if there's a charge on there that you didn't make. Do not allow room for anyone to abuse your purchase. Sometimes a dishonest employee may try to add a charge or tip onto your receipt. Prevent this by drawing a line through blank spaces above the total when you sign receipts. Okay, so draw a line in blank spaces when signing your receipts. Number 7, prevent any opportunity for a thief to get away. Keep a list of your credit card account numbers, checking account information, and telephone numbers of each credit card issuer in a safe place in case your cards or checks are lost or stolen. So keep all account numbers, account information in a safe place in case they're stolen, because the first thing they're going to ask you, well, what's your account number? You know, what's your credit card number? That way you'll have it. Okay? So steps to prevent yourself from falling into the debt trap. Locate the missing money. Control your spending so it doesn't control you. Plan your spending ahead of time with a list. Pay your bills on time. It'll eliminate your finance charges. Keep track of your spending. Do not allow room for anyone to abuse your purchase. Draw a line. When signing a receipt, draw a line in blank spaces. Keep all account information in a safe place in case they're stolen. Okay? Go through and review this lesson, study your notes, and answer the questions.